Welcome to the realm of intoxicating flavors and head-banging beer reviews.
I finally found the base beer. Or have I? What's up, everybody? It's Ginger Yeti, and I'm checking in from home. So if you watched my channel for a while, I've reviewed a couple different versions of this beer right here. But I've never reviewed the base beer. I finally found it, kind of. So this is the Big Bad Baptist. It is an Imperial Stout. It's from Epic Brewing Company out of Salt Lake City. And this is a stout with cocoa nibs and coffee added and aged in whiskey barrels. It is 11.5% ABV. Allegedly, it's got 65 IBUs. Don't know if it states that on the can. Not a whole lot here on the can. There is. There's a blurb on the can. Ugh. I've not been able to talk all night. However, I said, sort of, possibly the base beer. I did find out, which I never knew before about Big Bad Baptist. They brew it yearly, apparently, and each season's release, they use a different dark roasted coffee. So that means this Big Bad Baptist is probably different than the Big Bad Baptist from a couple years ago, and it's probably different than the Big Bad Baptist for some of the beers I've reviewed in the past. So I have reviewed a couple of the variants. I did the blueberry pie, the cherry bliss, the chocolate caramel sea salt on my channel. Excuse me. Then on the Beer Day with TK's channel, we did the coquito. And I'll link those all down below in the description if you're interested in checking out all those different Big Bad Baptist variants. But what I didn't know was they all come from different variations of the base beer, which is kind of cool and kind of not and kind of different, kind of interesting. So this has no can-on date, just like a code on the bottom. But I assume it's from this past year, 2024, because I just found it at Rozi's for $5.60 a can. And it's more or less the base beer for all those other beers I've tried and reviewed. So on the can here, like I said, it's stout with cocoa nibs and coffee added, aged in whiskey barrels. It's big, it's bad, it's one of the best barrel-aged stouts in the world. Some big words right there. Best barrel-aged stout in the world. We take our rich and roasty Imperial Stout and age it in flavorful whiskey barrels before adding copious amounts of artisanal coffee and real cocoa nibs. The result is a badass beer that will blow your mind. Maybe this isn't the base beer that I thought it was. Is there just a regular Big Bad Baptist? Or are all the Big Bad Baptists Imperial Stout? See, now I don't know. I'm going to go back and look at that, because maybe this isn't the base beer for those other beers I had. Maybe this is just the Imperial version of the base beer, which would make sense why they use a different dark roasted coffee every year. I would have to look that up. When I figure it out, I'll either post a little blurb here or post it down in the comment section. But I always thought Big Bad Baptist was just an Imperial Stout. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this is another version of Big Bad Baptist. Interesting. You never know. But this gets a lot of check-ins, so I assume this is the base beer. So, on Untapped, speaking of check-ins, this gets a 4.17 with 126,000 check-ins. On Beer Advocate, it gets a 97 world class with 4,120 check-ins. Both of those are as of the recording of this video. And since it has that many check-ins, reviews on Beer Advocate, I'll give you the aggregate score. It gets a 4.36. So the score's a little higher than Untapped. Got a nose on it here. That is whiskey, that is vanilla, that is coffee, and raisin. And when I say whiskey, it's not alcohol, it's not booze. It's just that typical whiskey scent. But raisin is probably the biggest, most noticeable smell. As far as color, That's a nice ruby red to black color. I mean, I would have thought it'd been darker than what it is, but it's got that ruby red cola color to it. It's floating right around down there by the, I think I want to say the 32 mark. I mean, it's got those ruby red hues. It's not completely pitch black. Yeah, I think I'm going to give it a 32 on the SRM chart. And I'm not a professional at this. When I give you the SRM score, it's basically trying to show you what color I'm seeing because everything appears so much darker on camera. Head is about a finger and a half worth of khaki tan, chocolatey looking head. Like just frothy and sitting there, not dissipating, not going anywhere. Leaving some nice legs on the glass. Enough talking about, let's get into it. Cheers, everybody. Nice full body. Coffee. Chocolate. Not really picking up any alcohol at all. Just a nice full-bodied chocolatey coffee beer. Chocolate and coffee are the big things. Maybe a hint around the edges of whiskey and vanilla, but it's mainly just coffee and chocolate. It's a nice body, but it's not syrupy. It's not cloyingly sweet. It's a well-done beer. This is a really well-done beer. I can see why they use this as a base to make other beers. Nice roasted coffee. Nice, dark, bittersweet chocolate. Like I said, maybe a hint of vanilla. A little bit of like that whiskey barrel. There's no real woody or oakiness to it from like whiskey barrel, but you kind of get that whiskey flavor on the edges. This is such a nice, well-done stout. Big horns up for me on this. It's a really good beer. I understand why they use this beer to make so many other beers. Really enjoy this. This size can is probably the perfect size for 11.5% alcohol beer. This is just, it's a tasty stout. Yeah, that is real good. Have you had Big Bad Baptist? Have you had any of the variants of Big Bad Baptist? If you have, what's your favorite variant? Let me know down below in the comments. And as always, embrace the adventure.